Creative diversity is more important than creative volume.
True. If you just run 100,000 ads that are all identical with tiny little variations versus if you run a really good diversified mix of portfolio of ads, but they're all winners, you'd pick the creative diversity, higher winning mix every time.
The ideal campaign setup is a combination of ABO campaigns for creative testing and CBO campaigns for scaling.
True. Obviously there's more nuance to this, but as a starting baseline point, if you're not spending over 10K per day, this is a great way to actually have control over where your budget goes across your ad funnel. Because if an ad set's working, you can manually push budget into it. But sometimes when you take these ads and you put them in your CBO, they still might not get spent. So this is a great way to control the spend while also allowing Meta's algorithm to push in the right places. Meta's own internal documentation will tell you this. Instead, they don't call it an ABO. In enterprise wording, they call it preheating campaigns to manually push budget behind new creatives, because their reasoning internally is that if you don't, it may not pick up spend in the CBOs, which is definitely what we see across our accounts.
Meta's algorithm is so good now that you can just run Advantage plus targeting.
False. Meta's algorithm is very good. However, the media buying nuances have changed. Instead of targeting interests and lookalikes as your primary lever is now which creatives are spending at which part of the cycle, which creatives you spend more on and actually scale, and also now which creatives are spending to which audiences and what kind of exclusions do you actually leverage to push the algorithm with a mix of your creative towards new customers, engaged customers, and existing customers. A lot of ad accounts we see push way too much spend towards engaged and existing customers with the frequency shooting through the roof. This is now the main variable in media buying, and metrics like CPMR and cost per add to cart have overtaken purchase ROAS and cost per click as primary leading indicators.
Northbeam is essential for any e-com brand.
False. Up until a certain point, you don't really need a platform like Northbeam, especially if you're just running one or two platforms. Once you start getting into the multi-8-figure range though, and your spend is large enough that you're actually tapping out the points of incrementality, that's when you want to bring in a tool like Northbeam to make sure that that bottom 10% of spend that's just retargeting certain regions that you don't need to spend in can get scooped up. But before you're at that point, it doesn't always make sense.
Most e-com brands are running too many different campaigns.
True, but sometimes they're not running too many, they're running too many for the wrong objectives. The ideal principle you want to stick behind is you want to run the least amount of campaigns possible to achieve all of the different business objectives in a point that makes sense. So for example, you may want to run 3 product categories. Some people might run 10 campaigns to run 3 product categories, but ideally you want to run as little as possible. So if you can get away with 1 or 2 campaigns per product category, then that is the optimal setup, not expanding out more for no reason.